is the race committee, and this race is live.
How's the pressure look on this right side upwind?
Okay, he's tacked back. Left side looks pretty good still.
What do you think if we do 2 tacks?
I think so.
So in that case, we need to keep it fast.
It's a bit more stressful than it needed to be, eh?
Welcome back to the next episode in our North Technology Group podcast series exploring the America's Cup in a way that only North Sails can. As the final match between Emirates Team New Zealand and Ineos Team Britannia battle it out to claim the Cup, I thought we'd switch the focus back to the Youth and Women's America's Cup, a fantastic and hugely successful initiative that's just finished up here in Barcelona. The Youth America's Cup is not necessarily new. As I remember in 2013, the San Francisco Cup had a great youth event in the AC45s, racing up and down the waterfront off San Francisco. By the way, that event just happened to be won by New Zealand, and the core of that team has gone on to be fairly successful in their Cup ventures since. Peter Burling, Blair Tuke, and Annie Maloney were 3 of the 6 on board for that Youth America's Cup win and haven't looked back since, winning the America's Cup there 2 times since that date, and frankly looking pretty strong here in Barcelona for their 3rd in a row. So is the Youth and Women's America's Cup a possible springboard to bigger and better things in a young athlete's sailing career? The obvious answer, heck yeah. I'm delighted to be joined by 2 members of the winning Women's and Youth America's Cup teams, both affiliated with Luna Rossa Prada Pirelli, Rocco Falcone and Giulia Conti. We'll also talk to German's women's AC trimmer and past women's 470 champion Luise Wanser. These athletes exude pure sporting passion, joy, unbridled enthusiasm. It's inspiring to be around and reminds you why we all got into sailing in the first place. The future's bright in the world of high-speed racing, so it's a pleasure to introduce you to some of the people who are at the heart of the action. It's fantastic to be joined by Rocco Falcone, a trimmer on the winning Italian entry at the Unicred Youth America's Cup. I happen to have a long history with the Falcone family, racing with his big brother Shannon in the Volvo Ocean race, on board Comanche, and even did some J-Class racing with him aboard Hanneman. So it's great to see his little brother Rocco achieving great things on the water. As an all-round sailor, he's got phenomenal experience on a wide array of racing boats, from Optimists to lasers, big boats, classics, not to mention a lot of offshore miles. But he seems to have found his niche in fast foiling, and I predict big things for this young gun. Rocco, congrats on the Youth win, on the Youth Cup win, a big moment for the Italian team. Let's start at the very end. Describe your emotions. Like, you guys worked hard at this thing. Describe the emotions of winning something like this, and really on the world stage.
Yeah, I mean, like you said, with the amount of work that we put into it, was super good for us. Feels amazing to bring a cup to the team, especially the first America's Cup.
Are you famous now around the base? Like, are you signing autographs? Did Jimmy ask you to sign an autograph or anything like that?
No. We're not at the superstar status yet.
All right, so let's take a step back. As a Caribbean boy, how did you make the Italian team?
Yeah, that's a good question, because when I started off, it was 2 years ago, we did a trial in the 69F in Cagliari. And we also did some races.
By the way, for those at home who don't know what a 69F is, 3-person, foiling, crazy, fun.
Yeah.
How would you describe it?
Yeah, just a super wild like a foiling skiff. And,
by the way, for all of you at home, he just smiled from ear to ear as he starts talking about these things.
Yeah. And we started a campaign as well with my brother, kind of alongside. It was with Team Antigua, with some sponsors as well, some Italian sponsors, and we did a full year campaigning in the 69F. Did all the youth regattas, GP regattas, and we did some really good results. I think in the end we came to Barcelona for the grand final with the youth, and we didn't do as well as we wanted to, but we were up there. So
it doesn't hurt having an older brother who's so embedded into the team. How many cups has Shannon done with the Italians?
I believe this is his 3rd one, if I'm not mistaken.
This is a leading question, of course, but you're a young kid sitting at home, you're 12, 13, 14 years old. How the heck do I get an invite to come to one of these programs? And is there hope for anybody who has this crazy, fiendish foiling gene in their body to come and get on an America's Cup program?
Yeah, I mean, I think now with the Youth America's Cup and the program they have with AC40, it's definitely a difficult boat to get into. You definitely need to know the right people. But I mean, I think if the sailors have the results and the team sees something in them, I believe that it's very easy that they'll call you up to come for a trial.
Keep winning.
Yeah, exactly. Just keep winning.
In boats like 69Fs or Nacras or other boats that pop out of the water.
I think Olympic classes is the first thing, but also even in the bigger boats. I grew up sailing bigger boats. I think that was really important to these boats as well, with the communication and the understanding of working with the shore team. And I think that was really important.
So let's talk about the AC40s for a second. Just such a cool looking boat. I was out there watching quite a bit off of another big boat and watching four of you zip around, your little heads just bobbing up above the deck, and no grinders, no pedalers, battery powered, but just ripping around. I mean, are they as much fun as they look like they are from afar? Yeah,
absolutely. I mean, the racing is definitely the best racing I've ever done. The racing's super close. Gets pretty hectic sometimes. But definitely a lot of fun, a lot of adrenaline.
Do you get used to that, or is the adrenaline still pumping as hard after race 20 than it is after race 1?
No, definitely still pumping, but I mean, I think the gains or whoever is controlling that as the best is probably doing better. So that's all about keeping it calm on the boat, keeping the guys focused, and but also having fun.
So, as an old man of 23, what would you suggest for 8, 10, 12-year-olds who are coming up saying, man, I want to do that. That looks like fun. I want to do that.
Yeah, I mean, I think there's the foiling is so new. So there's definitely some new boats that are coming into the scene. I think like the Birdie Fish is a relaxed foiling boat, easy to sail.
Yeah.
But I think the Wasp is a great boat now with the Switch. There's a new one design class that's coming in. And of course the Moth, if you can get into the Moth, I think is a super important boat to learn the basics of foiling.
Now that you're a foiling sailor, you going back? Like, do you choose one or the other? You still continue to be an all-arounder, or what's the short-term future look like?
Yeah, I think the short-term future, I mean, there's not many boats where you're able to go foiling like this, so definitely hasn't changed too much for me, I would say. But I think it's super important to stay in all the classes. Even with most of the youth team, we're racing on classic boats. Mm-hmm. We're doing all Melges or the IC37s in Newport. I think all those classes are super important to learn skills, learn teamwork, and I think for sure going back. But I would love to stay as long as I can foiling.
What is the plan for the AC40? Is there more kind of youth plans, or do the four of you have a plan? The four of you that sail together in this boat?
Personally, for us, I don't know the plans of everyone exactly, but I think we'll be involved in AC40s for sure. And hearing that the rumors of a new event going around, kind of like a Sail GP style with the AC40s, maybe owner driver, so a little bit different. But I think it's a really cool idea. The boats are simple to sail, so I think the AC40 is definitely going to be sticking around for sure.
How much time did you guys spend together on the simulator versus how much time did you spend on the water? Because that's the simulator thing is obviously a new phenomenon in the sailing world, not brand new, but it's like the buzzword. Tell us about the experience of both.
Yeah, I think in the simulator, we definitely spent the first month all in the simulator. I think it was really important to us to learn how the buttons on the boat would work, and trying to get that instinct of how the boat would react maybe. Yeah, the guys spent a lot of hours in there. But I think, yeah, it's a crucial step to go from a regular boat into the simulator, into the AC40. It's a very hard boat to jump into straight away. Very different. No sheets or anything, no winches. So.
And some of the teams literally went from the simulator to the racing. Right?
Yeah, exactly.
Now, you guys, a lot of the teams that were associated with an America's Cup, and tell me if I'm right or wrong, got a little more time in the boats before the event actually started versus the other teams. Is that right?
Yeah, so we kind of started beginning of January with a lot of the youth team went in there beginning of January, and the women maybe middle of February. But yeah, a lot of the invited teams they didn't have the funding to go on AC40.
Yep.
A couple of them maybe rented the boat for a couple of days, but never more than 2-3 days. So they went straight from the simulator into the AC40 with, I think, 2 days of training before the event.
My goodness.
But man, honestly, I was super impressed by how they handled it.
Yeah.
Even just the rigging and the going alongside the chase boat and doing all those sort of things it's a pretty complicated task. But,
were there like training sessions to teams like that to be able to try to get them to acclimate? Because I can just imagine that would be really hard, just getting on and off the boat, getting the sails up, things like that.
Yeah, exactly. I think that's the whole other side of the boat. But yeah, they had the training, and the guys did a lot of safety briefings and this sort of thing to get them into it. And we were also pretty involved with the Dutch team. Actually, we were alongside them, following them. Mm-hmm. So, but yeah, they did a great job. Even just seeing them going into the start and seeing the timings that they had was super impressive.
So the Italians, all associated with Luna Rossa, on the women's side and the youth side, win this America's Cup. Why?
No, I think hats off to Max and Jacopo, who were really the ones who chose the team. And it started a couple of years ago. And I think they just chose the team that really gelled together. Even us youth with the women, we were sharing the boat for 6 months. Mm-hmm. You know, we were all living in Barcelona together. But also we had the backing of the team, so we had another simulator which kind of helped us with the match racing. Yeah. And but yeah, I think the teamwork that the guys had, and the coach, our coach Simone, who just came out of the CLGP win, so his coaching level is super high right now. And then slowly we would start chipping it away at the small things, getting all the marginal gains and the timings in the starts, learning the loops that we had to do. I think the team, it all started from when they chose the team. They brought, I think, all the right people into it.
Youth team against the women's team, who wins?
Probably the youth team. No,
I knew you were going to say. Well, I hope you were. We
were talking about it. They should do a little match race final.
I know. It's kind of anticlimactic.
Yeah, because I've
seen the final showdown.
The women could for sure kick her ass. And
all right, and then the other one is you stick Keko and Jimmy in AC40 against your team. Who wins?
I think probably the youth team.
Really?
No.
Yeah, but why not? You got to bet on yourself.
Yeah, exactly. No, I mean, those guys, they're the best in the world, man. The amount of stuff that we learned from them, hats off to them.
And they were open and helpful, and that's what the world wants to at least assume, right? That these guys, we're all trying to bring on the next generation, right? But I'm assuming they were really open. I know the two guys, so I can only imagine that they were fantastic.
Yeah, no, absolutely. With the whole team, all the guys, that was also super crucial to us doing well. The whole team, if we ever had any doubts or any questions, we had someone to ask them, and those guys have the most knowledge out of everyone. So we always took some knowledge away from them.
What an experience, Rocco Falcone. You're already a better sailor than your big brother, so I'm not even going to go there. Listen, thanks very much. First of all, congratulations. You guys should be very proud of yourselves. It's a big step. Do you know who won the Youth America's Cup in 2013?
Yeah, I think that was Pete and Blair with Team New Zealand.
There is a path, my friend, so take it.
Absolutely.
And Andy Maloney. So three of the guys on that boat
Yeah.
have been okay in the America's Cup ever since then.
Yeah. Absolutely.
Something to strive for. Thank you. Thanks for your time.
Thank you, Ken. Thank you.
When you speak with Luise Wanser, it's almost exhausting. So much energy, huge smile, just a fantastic kid. At the ripe old age of 27, Luise is a past women's 470 world champion and part of the German Women's America's Cup team. Speaking with this new generation of sailing athlete is certainly a breath of fresh air, enthusiastic, tough, clearly very calm under pressure. I think you kind of have to be ripping around in a 40-footer going 45 knots. So let's talk to Luise about her experiences so far here in Barcelona. Luise, we just introduced you, and first of all, do you mind if I ask how old you are?
Of course. So it's such an honor for me to be here. I'm so excited we can do this podcast together. And I'm 27 years old, and I think when I was 23 or 22, I listened to my first podcast about you. 2 episodes from Chile, and I absolutely loved it. And now I can sit here next to you and we talk about it. Great. Thank you.
Well, it's a pleasure to have you here. I think it's a pleasure to have this women's and youth part of the America's Cup right now, because it's something that's been dabbled in the past. I remember the first cup that I commentated at was in San Francisco. And it was really kind of the first youth, they called it the Youth America's Cup back then, and they were in the 45-foot catamarans. This is a little more serious. This is real kind of stepping stone boats to the real thing. Your team, or let's just call it the women's community, because I'm assuming you're on the women's boat. Do you see this as an opportunity, or is this just another regatta?
So first of all, I think I'm so happy that we women finally get the chance to compete in an America's Cup. And in the year 2024, yeah, I see it a little bit with a crying and with a happy eye. First of all, this opportunity is unbelievable, and we are so happy and grateful for this, but also that it took so much time until we girls finally get the chance to compete. It's a little bit incredible. But well, nevertheless, finally, we are here. We are ready to go. We are ready to go on these super exciting IC40s. They look absolutely amazing. And the coach of the youth team, Max Böhme, he competed at the Youth America's Cup in San Francisco on the floating catamarans you were just speaking about. And he said the Youth America's Cup and Women's America's Cup here is now a completely different story. He says the setup is way more professional. The boats are way more exciting, faster, more dangerous. And it's another story, and I think also with what there will maybe happen after the Cup with having a league of the AC40s probably, it also gives like a little bit of a bigger future, not only one event. So I hope this will happen. I don't exactly know how the future will look, but I think there are a lot of opportunities here, and it gives us girls the chance to make a step forward in the sailing histories, to inspire other younger girls that there is a career as a professional female sailor. And when I have been a young optimist sailing girl, I never thought about that there is a future for me in professional sailing. And now making this many first little steps in it feels so good. And if I remember back 10 years ago, and if I would have
back when you were old or young. Now that you're
Exactly.
you're an old 27-year-old.
Exactly. I would have probably even not dreamed about where I'm now, and that's amazing. But also on the other side, we as a German team, we almost didn't find any budget to support our campaign, so we only trained in the simulator, and we will get hopefully 3 training days in the AC40 before we start racing. But having sailed these boats only for 3 days and probably just 2 hours or 1.5 hours because we're very limited with sailing time, and then jump into racing, I mean, that seems a little bit crazy.
I think it seems a lot crazy. But let's take a step back before we go forward. Now that we've established that you're kind of an old, you're an old lady when it comes to this sailing thing, what was the first boat that you sailed? Was it an Opti? Do you remember back that far?
Yeah, definitely. So I started, it was quite funny. I grew up in France, but we had a vacation house in the middle of Germany, and 3-month summer holiday there, quite boring. And I always wanted to go eat ice cream and everything. And my father said, well, we have an Optimus. You can just take it and sail there.
Were
But
your
first
parents sailors?
Only my father, exactly. And then I first had to learn swimming because that's very important if you're a sailor. And then I wanted to go eat ice cream. And then I always took the Optimus, sailed across the lake and went for ice cream. And sometimes my father joined me. We ate some candies on the boat. So that's how I started my passion for sailing.
Very good memories.
A lot related to food, yeah.
But today, we've also seen a seismic shift, I think, to foiling. So as a 27-year-old, let's just take a step back again. Let's say you had an 8-year-old brother or sister. What boat would they start out in? Do you think, and I've asked this to several people that we've spoken to, are optimists kind of going to be a thing of the past because foiling is such a big part of young sailors' lives right now, or am I jumping too far ahead?
I think it's a very, very, very good question. I will probably think different about it in 5 years' time. But at the moment, I still think, when I remember back when I was 8 or 9 years old, I think Optimus is the best class because you learn to take responsibility, you learn to organize yourself in a kind of easy boat that's not dangerous.
So it's not necessarily about the foiling, it's about kind of learning how to put your little project.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Because that's one of the most important things as well to become a successful sailor, I think.
Do you think Olympic success has as much to do with kind of running a project like that than it does with the actual sailing itself?
I think so. So I had a lot of coaches who actually said you win your medal onshore and not offshore. And my story from my Olympic Games in Tokyo probably are the best example for it. So we got disqualified for the first day because my trapeze harness or the trapeze harness of my crew was too heavy. And that ruined our Olympic Games. And there was a preparation onshore and not offshore. So I think
the Tokyo Games.
Exactly, that was the Tokyo Games. And I think that's one of the best examples. And we would have won a silver medal without it. And yeah, that was so painful. I still get a little bit tears in my eyes when I think back of it.
Let's talk AC40s. Let's take a big leap forward. These are machines, right? These are crazy machines. First of all, what's your role on the AC40?
So I jumped in as the last girl, and they were still looking for a trimmer, so I started to trim.
Yeah.
So I'm a trimmer.
And trimming means pushing buttons, and this is not our parents' trimming. There's not ropes and winches and things like that.
No.
So explain that a little bit to the folks back home.
Yeah, so it's quite funny. I think I never had so long fingernails as a sailor as now in the AC40 because you just push button. I even don't hold a single rope. And when I'm on the windward side, I control the big mainsail and, make it flat and really watch the heel of the boat. And when I'm on the leeward side, I'm having more of a kind of strategist role. So I support the helm in front of me, who is the tactician at that moment. And I also trim the jib and watch the general setups of the boat. So big change. And I think also that you have this role changes all the time. It's quite interesting. And that you don't move.
Did it come natural, or do you have to learn? I mean, essentially, this is a different sport, right? In many ways. And I don't mean that as as the old guy in the room, which I very clearly am the old guy in the room, but it just feels like a different sport.
Yeah, absolutely.
You don't have a tiller in your hand. You're just
exactly
holding on for dear life and pushing a bunch of buttons.
Absolutely. And I think my heart rate goes up by the adrenaline and fear and not by the actual movement I do. So that's quite interesting as well.
The German team, how did this come about? Like, how did the group of women come together to put this team together?
It's quite interesting. So there were differences in the youth and in the women's team, but we worked together a lot. And for the women's team, we basically had a look who wanted to do it and who has a lot of experience. So now we are 4 girls who all did Olympic campaigns and who won a lot of things in Olympic sailing. A little bit different for the youth because they're still under 26, basically. I'm 1 year too old to be able to do both. And that's how we came together. So we know each other for quite a long time.
Are there a lot of people doing both?
Only 2 girls are doing both. Uh-huh. And one is the helm in the youth team and also helm in the women's team. Marou Scheel, she's also the skipper, and she's the only female skipper now for the youth team. So I thought that's incredible. There are 12 teams and only 1 girl as a skipper.
Why do you think that is?
Good question.
Is it opportunity? Is it skill? Is it experience? I mean, by the way, nobody's experienced in these boats. What do you think?
Yeah, it's a good question. And you still see in the youth teams not so many girls on the boats, unfortunately. And we also wonder what it is, because we trained a lot together and we were really pushing on this equality of gender thing. And we said, well, if there's a girl and a boy the same level, we want to take the girl, because this girl can then be also good for us in the women's team. So she takes all the experience from the youth team, taking it to the women's team. So as a women's team, we have then more opportunity, better chances to perform well. And I don't know why the other teams didn't do it as much as we tried to do it and push for it.
The simulator, and the whole world on TV. That's everybody talks about the simulator, the simulator. So you said at the beginning, which is incredible, that you've only spent 2 or 3 days on the water in an AC40, and the rest of the time in a simulator. First of all, how much fun is a simulator? And secondly, how do you equate the two? Like, is it as close as people say it is, or is it still very different?
So now we're still before the Women's America's Cup, so I haven't sat on the actual boat yet. This will all happen in the lead up to the event. I will sail 2 or 3 days on the boat and then I will start racing. So I hope it's as similar as possible, the simulator.
Have you been on an AC40 yet?
Well, on the shore, yeah, but not on the...
Are you kidding?
Yeah, not on the water, so yeah.
So you are going to participate in the Women's America's Cup, and you still haven't been in an AC40 yet.
You got it exactly right. Yeah, I can still sleep.
I'm nervous. Just
me too. That's the fear and adrenaline I spoke about. So I can still sleep. Let's see for how long. But the youth team now has already sailed 3 days, and they say it's kind of similar. And well, that gives us a little bit more confidence. But this kind of is quite wobbly, I would say.
Kind of.
Yeah.
I think you're going to the bank with kind of. How about it is or it isn't? Holy smokes, that's incredible.
Absolutely. Yeah.
Is that just lack of boats, or how does the schedule work for those at home who want to watch this? First of all, it might be as exciting, or maybe even in some cases more exciting than the actual cup itself. I think the fleet racing aspect of it is fantastic. But how are you going to watch? Like, what's your schedule coming up in the next couple of weeks?
So we now basically do everything together with the youth team. We follow them on the chase boat. We do all the debriefs together. We watch all the data they have. We follow this and try to apply it then on the simulator and everything. And I fully agree with you. I think watching the racing is almost more exciting than the cup, because the boats are the same. Yeah. So they go the same speed in theory. And there are just so much more boats and so many more situations. And yeah, we are not so good yet in controlling these boats. So there are also a lot of crashes happening.
By the way, as a commentator, and I know you've done some commentating, if they're not crashing and wiping out and spinning out and nose diving and flipping over, frankly, it's really not perfect to talk about.
Absolutely. It almost seems like a boring race. Not so much for the athletes, but for the people who are watching. Yeah.
I get it. So what will it take for a German team to actually be in the America's Cup?
It's so sad, because we've been in the America's Cup in 2007 in Valencia, and then it died, unfortunately. And I was just 10 years old in Valencia, so I don't really remember everything. But I think Germany is such a strong nation, actually. We have a lot of sailing sport. We can't really sail in our country itself in the winter, but neither Switzerland. And with Red Bull, they have an incredible strong team. So I don't exactly know what it takes. Maybe a bit more braveness to think we can do it. Maybe more people who want to invest their money and time in it.
Is there any talk of it? Like if you're reading a newspaper in Germany, is there much talk of the America's Cup, or is it still kind of a little bit of a sidebar sport?
So there's a lot more talk about Olympic sailing than America's Cup sailing, but one of our part of our management team for the Youth and Women's America's Cup in Germany is Jochen Schümann, and he did a lot of America's Cups, and he's kind of mentoring us, so giving us his experience and his advice, and it would be incredible to start another real America's Cup campaign with him, with having so much experience in the country. I hope this will happen. I hope there's a future, but I don't exactly know.
Gold medal in America's Cup or a career as a commentator? Which do you prefer? which would be top of the list?
A very good question. Thank you for listening to my commenting. It's a lot of fun to do it, actually. To be honest, as a female sailor, I would burn to win the America's Cup, because this is such an important sign to the world and such an important step. And I really want to give this chance and open this path for younger female girls as a professional career in sailing as a female sailor. So I think I'm absolutely burning for this, because a gold medal in Olympic sailing, these paths is open for as a female sailor, but the America's Cup is still so close, and I don't understand it, because at the moment you don't need any physical strength for it. You need to push a button, and these girls can do the same good as a boy.
All right, Luise, you are a star for being here. I think it's got to be expanded. Obviously, it's got to keep moving forward. But it's great to have you here, and it's wonderful to have your youth and enthusiasm in the sport. It's wonderful.
Thank you so much, Keen. It was an honor.
Giulia Conti has made history by helming Luna Rossa Prada Pirelli to victory in the inaugural Puig Women's America's Cup. She's raced in no less than 4 Olympics, finishing in the top 5 in her last 3 games. A European and world champion in the 49er FX, she clearly knows how to win and race fast. And she's part of this new Italian juggernaut who's risen to the top of the ranks in this high-stakes foiling action. Let me first congratulate you on making history here in Barcelona.
Yeah, it still feels weird to hear these words that we just made history, but yeah. We actually did that.
Is it a fair assessment, though? I mean, it's kind of a shame that we have to reference it as history, because I think women have been much more part of the America's Cup just in general than maybe it's given it credit for. I mean, this is the first time maybe women were front and center. Is that fair? Is that fair to say?
Yeah, I think it was the first time there was like a standalone event just for women, and I think that's the historic thing, that we were able to race against each other, against the best female in the world of sailing at the highest possible level with the coolest possible boats. So, yeah, I think.
So that last race, I watched that last race, and it seemed like a bit more of a nail biter than maybe it needed to. Did it get a little too close in the end?
Yeah, I don't know, I didn't realize how close we were at the finish line. I think we just missed the last shift. We tried to do one less maneuver because it was very wavy, and we knew we were in the wrong shift. But yeah, just looking afterwards at the videos, we realized how close they were.
It's like, I wonder, did somebody look over your shoulder. Then I think the whole world just fell in love with you guys because of the pure raw emotion that just exploded as you went over the finish line. What was that moment like? What was it like?
It was, I think, the best feeling I've ever experienced in my whole life.
Wow.
I don't know, I think being able to cross the finishing line with those 3 amazing sailors, human beings, and also the other 3 girls that were on the rip. We always felt they were racing with us the whole time, even if physically they were not on the boat. It's just something that it just came naturally inside of our bodies to just explode the way we did, because we were just so happy it was us, and we could bring all the joy amongst us, because it's the cohesion we have in our team, the friendship we share. We've been through ups and lows in the campaign, but I think our strength has always been the cohesion of the team.
So how does the team get chosen? I'm guessing there's a ton of little girls, of big boys, of whoever, saying, how do I get involved in something like that? So how do you guys choose the 4 of you? And I asked Rocco exactly the same thing. It was actually quite an interesting answer.
Yeah, well, it all started with some selection process in Cagliari. at the beginning of the year, and we had the simulator, and the first 7 were chosen out of more than double of that amount of girls. And then we all started training. We sailed the AC40s in Cagliari together with the boys. We shared the boat. We actually sailed together because they were a little step ahead of us. So the main goal was to help us, get to a point where when we got to Barcelona at the beginning of June, we could, sail together, all the female on the boat. And then, while we were here, like maybe 2 weeks before the training ended, we the team decided the 4 that would sail during the
and what was because you knew of the 7, you knew you were in a competition. Did it ever get tense or tight?
No, actually, no. Like we were always, supporting each other, and even when the communication was made, okay, the 3 of you are not going to be on the boat. Of course, they were sad, the first couple of days, but then they realized how important they were to the team, and how important also the attitude they would bring to the team was. So unbelievable how they reacted to that and really helped us, and that's why we felt also the 3 of them were on the boat with us the whole time.
It seems like in Italy, this America's Cup, maybe of any country, maybe outside of New Zealand, that Italy has grasped this thing as much as any country, and grasped you guys, the youth and women's teams. Why is that? Why?
Yeah, I mean, Luna Rossa is a huge thing in Italy. Like everyone knows what is Luna Rossa, and we have quite a history, since 2000, when we battled for the America's Cup against the Kiwis, and people were just waking up at 3 a.m. just to watch the Italians. And I think it's a love that it started there, and there's a lot of, I think, pride in this. And that's why it's been such a huge thing. I couldn't believe that our Prime Minister Giorgia Meloni posted on Instagram a picture of us winning the Puig Women's America's Cup. We don't realize it because we are in Barcelona, but I think something huge happened in Italy.
Yeah. That's all I hear about is how big it is in Italy. It's fantastic. Somehow we have to bottle this and sell it to the rest of the world because you guys are doing something right over in that country. That's fantastic.
Yeah, no, it's and it feels so good to not only having the whole team backing us, but the entire country.
Yeah.
It makes us very proud of what we're doing and what we did.
I'm sure. So your latest sailing antics were 470s, 49ers, boats that are actually in the water. Now, all of a sudden, you're an AC40 star and you're flying boats. And are you addicted to foiling now, like it appears everybody else is?
Well, a little bit, I have to say, yes. Yeah. Yes. I wing foil in my spare time, and I was already in love with that. I'm not any good, I just enjoy cruising around. But these boats, the 40s, are just next level of fun. And I think we showed how we can sail those boats also in waves, which we were not sure about at the very beginning. But they're just super fun, and you're flying on the water. But the cool thing is that they're still sailboats, so they work as a normal sailboat. Actually, I found lots of similarities with the 49er. Yeah, it's a sailboat, but obviously then all of a sudden you have another thing to look at, which is the flight. And and it took us a little bit to learn how to properly sail the boat. But yeah, it's just as you said, it's addicting.
Once you start to fly, will you ever go back? I mean, it's.
Yeah, I mean, it's also fun sometimes not to race with such adrenaline, you know, and have
stress.
Just a little bit of J70, like the tempo is a little lower.
So, but if you're, one of the big reasons to talk to all you guys is trying to anticipate what kids are going to do in the next 5 years, like youngsters, right? So typical 7, 8, 9, 10, 11-year-olds are through their opti. Do you see a world where this moves way faster into flying boats for kids like that? And are we in it? Are we in this world now?
I think so.
Really?
I think so, yeah, because, imagine a 9-year-old kid that steps on an opti and then tries wing foiling or, I don't know, what can you say, wasp or,
It's over, right?
It's over. Like, there is no comparison.
Yeah.
It will take over, I think, because it's just...
Can you make it safe enough for a young kid? I mean, by the way, as a parent, that would be my first, thought. Oh my goodness, am I throwing my young daughter or son into the gauntlet here with something that's flying through the air, going so fast?
I think learning how to foil when you're a kid, like in every sport, if you learn how to surf or how to wing foil or whatever as a kid, or if you start biking, it's always easier, So like, it's definitely less safe when you learn how to fly as an adult rather than.
So as I'm learning how to wing foil right now, I'm toast. Is that what you're saying?
No, obviously not. Obviously not. But it will take you for sure longer than a 9-year-old. 100%.
Yeah. There's a program called More Than Equal, and it is trying to find the first female F1 Formula One world champion. That's the goal. That's the mission statement of this group, and it's using data, training, evidence through an organization to find young drivers with high potential, and then enrolls them into a fully funded driver development program specifically designed to try to win at the highest level in Formula One. Is there any reason why a woman can't win at Formula One or win in the America's Cup now?
I don't think so. The more technology takes over, the more it's going to be easier for women to be there.
Yeah.
Obviously, in Formula One, you have to have also like probably a little bit of strength, especially, in the neck, because the races are very long and you get exhausted, especially in sailing. I think now with this new format, these new boats for the America's Cup, I don't see why a woman cannot be on board of AC-75 because we're basically driving wheels and pressing buttons and moving joysticks. So, it becomes...
touch, feel, decision-making.
Exactly.
So do you have to be a gamer now? forget young kids learning either an opti or a switch or whatever the case may be. But by the way, did the winner of the America's Cup actually get in an AC40? Somebody told me that happened.
Yes, they did during our practice racing.
Yeah.
Actually... that day they went out. So they actually sailed the boat.
Yeah.
I don't know how it went, but they were out sailing as a reward for that.
So they didn't crash and burn.
No, the boat was fine. But for sure, like for example, the simulator had so much because.
What's the time between on the water and in a simulator? Like how much time did you spend in either as a ratio?
At the beginning. Quite some time on the simulator, but mostly for the muscle memory, to know exactly which buttons to press without watching, and But then once we started sailing, we basically never touched the sim anymore. Yeah, maybe once in a while, because we had quite a long stop between when we stopped training to when we started racing. So our last training day was August 21st, and then we were back on the boat at the end of September.
So you use the simulator quite a bit. And then,
We did a little bit of simulator.
is this the simulator, the AC40 simulator that you can actually buy?
I think you can buy it. Yeah, yeah.
I tried it.
And
I'm not good. Yeah, but I'm coming for you.
yeah, that's it. Then
It's addicting, I'll tell you that.
Yeah.
It's very addicting.
It is.
A guy named Jake Lilly, who has done a couple cups, he's living in Sweden with his wife, and he brought one, and we were all, of course, trying to kick each other's ass, as you would.
obviously,
Simulator, obviously, it's pretty real, right? It's amazing training, or just good training, or okay training.
it's great training for the beginning.
Yeah.
But then again, on the sailboat, you have sensations. You have, the actual healing of the boat. You have the spray. You have the speed.
Yep.
So then, all of a sudden, the simulator becomes less useful because, yeah, you don't feel things. It's great for the big learning moment at the beginning,
Right.
For sure.
I actually had the opportunity to go to a few of almost all of the bases and try a couple of the simulators. And a couple of the simulators we tried had complete movement, like rotation, heel angle, bow down, bow up, everything else along with it. It felt pretty darn real.
Yeah, I imagine. Like,
But yours was just essentially two-dimensional, looking at a screen.
yeah, the AC40s. Yeah. The sim of the AC40s. Yeah. We didn't even have the cockpits. We just had the
Steering wheels.
Yeah, the steering wheels with the actual. We didn't have the physical cockpit, so we were not sitting inside, but we had all the wheel and the proper joystick for the trimmer.
So give people an idea. So as a driver, were you starboard or port driver?
Starboard.
So as the starboard driver, how many buttons and controls are you in charge of besides actually steering the boat?
So when you're steering, you're basically just steering and
Yep.
looking at numbers and trying to make the boat as fast as possible.
Mm-hmm.
And when you're not steering, so you're kind of flight controller and tactician strategist.
Mm-hmm.
You have two PDAs. One tells you all the numbers of the boat,
Yep.
the performance, and the other PDA tells you where you are on the race course, ley lines, time to boundaries, all this kind of stuff.
Yep.
So when you're driving, and when you're doing flight controller, you have you can set the height of the boat, how much high you want to fly. Then you can move the cant in and out, and then you control the pitch of the boat.
So when you're driving, you're like any boat in the world, you're driving to the numbers. The person sitting behind you, when you're driving, are they doing the traveler, or do you do the traveler?
They do the traveler.
Okay. So you're literally just driving when you're driving.
Yes.
Oh, fascinating. I thought you do the traveler at the same time.
No.
So you have to be fully linked in tune with the person sitting behind you.
Yeah.
They have to feel what you feel.
Absolutely. And they are the ones, the trimmers, that tell you, like, you have to go lower here, go higher. They help you.
I've been telling mainsail trimmers their whole life that they're actually the ones that drive the boat.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
I always say that the rock stars of the boat are the trimmers.
Yeah.
Like, they just make us
Let's
good.
keep that between us. They're all going to get a big head. And
Especially on these boats, I can tell you.
driving is going to be a thing of the past. I mean, you'd have to say that, look out, America's Cup, here we come at some stage. Like, it's knocking on the door. When the next generation starts pushing, looks promising for Italy right now as we go forward.
Yeah, also, now, you're saying this, also our team, the women's team, they were all youth.
Yeah.
Except Joanna and I, they were all youth. So
Can I ask a couple of personal questions? How old are you?
I'm turning 39 soon.
Okay. Did you go to university?
Yes.
What did you study?
I studied sports science.
Okay, that's close. So are you of the opinion that given the technical detailing of all these new flying boats, that having some sort of science or engineering background is almost becoming mandatory? So if you're a young kid and you want to make it in the sailing world, I could make a pretty darn good argument. If you don't study engineering or some form of engineering in school, you're going to be left behind because you're not going to understand. Do you think it's that extreme, or maybe that's too far?
It's for sure helping.
Yeah.
I mean, great sailors on on these flying boats are also great engineers. So yeah, absolutely. Like right now, if you wanted to pick a career, you would definitely pick that.
Yep.
You know, yeah, this is what I think. Obviously, at the time, I struck. Like now, we know also with the flexibility of the universities, you can actually do that.
Yep.
But back in the days when I started, you know, to look out for universities, that like you had to be at class, you know, in presence, and you know, my first campaign, I ended up at the Olympics. I was 18, so it was hard for me to, you know, combine the
Do both.
two things. Yes, and actually, I picked up university quite late. You know, I graduated the year of COVID.
Really?
Yeah, because that all of a sudden there were, you know, online universities, and I could study that.
All right, you hear that, all you kids at home listening to this? You better study hard, because these degrees are not easy to find, and do not quit. You have to stick with it and get yourself a degree.
Absolutely.
All right, a lot of parents are thanking us right now at home, because they've been giving that same speech. If you say it, it's far more credible probably than if the parents say it.
And also learning things is always great, you know, like especially if it's involved in something you will be involved with.
Yeah.
It's super useful.
Who wins a match race, you or the Italian youth team? Come on.
I don't know. Probably the youth.
What?
I don't know. We haven't done match racing, but you know, Marco has.
Who wins, you or the old guys, Keko and Jimmy? Who beats who in that?
Oh no. Well, no.
Who can make the boat just go faster through the water right now? Are you guys equal or better than the youth team at just going simply as fast through the water?
Probably we're pretty equal.
Yeah.
Yes, absolutely.
Is it a goal of yours to be in the America's Cup?
I'd love that. Yeah.
How long until a woman is actually one of the 4 seats in the America's Cup?
I don't think it will take long. I don't know if in the next one, but in the next one.
It's coming.
It's coming. We're coming.
I just think your involvement in the sport and your passion is what our sport needs. So on behalf of all sailors around, we thank you and we congratulate you, and keep that tradition of when you win. I don't know. I think a lot of us aren't going to lose that memory of the celebration when you guys won for a long time. That was special.
I mean, I rewatched it at night by myself at home, and I cried. No, really, because I rewatch it every once in a while because it's cool. We got carried away at the moment, and we had no idea what we were doing, really. But yeah, rewatching it is pretty cool.
Well, thank you for being here, and we will talk to you very shortly.
Thank you.
Yeah. I personally really enjoyed speaking with these talented young sailors who sparkle with ambition, hope, and relentless energy. I think the Youth and Women's America's Cup has been a huge success for this wider event, and I hope it goes from strength to strength. We need to support these initiatives to provide real pathways for aspiring sailors. I know there are a bunch of small changes that most would like to see with the events, with regards to availability of boats for training and maybe reliability of the boats in general. But the fact remains that you have to start somewhere, and this event certainly turned a lot of heads. These athletes are the future of our sport, not just as racers, but hopefully as advocates for sailing and sailing technology. And like it or not, their relentless nature to take on foiling proves once and for all foiling is here to stay. And to grow sailing in the future, we need to grasp foiling for the sailors of tomorrow at even younger ages. So join me next week for the final installment of our Cup podcasts, and I can promise you we'll be speaking with the best of the best from the 2024 America's Cup. Stay tuned, and let's keep all our eyes on the Barcelona battle as it reaches its conclusion. This is Ken Reed signing off from Timeout Market in Barcelona. Talk soon and sail fast.